Hi students, I'm Dr. Bhavna. In this lecture, we are going to continue with the topic that is called as ecology. So already we have started with ecology and we have done multiple topics regarding ecology. So we already have done organisms and population. And the main important in need point of view, we have done the ecosystems. So now we have started with biodiversity and its conservation. So in the biodiversity and its conservation. In biodiversity and its conservation, the main important point that you should remember is who gave the term biodiversity. So the term biodiversity was usually given by a famous scientist called as Edward Wilson. Edward Wilson, a famous scientist, gave the term biodiversity. And in this biodiversity, the important thing that you should remember is what is biodiversity. Suppose if someone have come from outside environment or alien species, if you say, so they see the diversity, how much rich diversity is present in the world, as well as especially in India. We find many different types of species here. Mainly, I have specified in the last class. Each one how we find. Suppose 20,000 species of birds, then 20,000 species of ants, and 3 lakh species of beetles, 28,000 species of fishes. This is all I have done in the last class. If anyone have missed the class, just go through that. So I gave an example of 20,000. 20,000, you can easily remember. 28,000 and then 3 lakh. 3 lakh is usually beetles, 20,000 is ants, 20,000 orchids, 28,000 fishes. These are not 28,000 fishes which we see, 28,000 different types of species of fishes you see. So that is different as well as this is different. 20,000 ants, 20,000 orchids, 28,000 species of fishes, then 3 lakh species of beetles. Like that, numerous multiple species we find. So India as well as the world has rich biodiversity in it. So basically the biodiversity is again divided into three types. That is called as genetic biodiversity, genetic, ecological, as well as species. Species diversity means Western Ghats are more diverse than that of Eastern Ghats. So Western Ghats have more diversity. And so in species you are specifying in India only. Basically, Western Ghats have more species or Eastern Ghats? Western Ghats have. Means that near that Assam, Meghalaya forest, so many species will be present. So that is Western Ghats. Then under ecological diversity, so again in ecological diversity you are specifying. Suppose we are comparing India to other parts of the world. Suppose India has, you see India, we have so many deserts, we have seas, mangroves, rainforests, so many we have. So India's ecological diversity is more than countries like Norway. Suppose you see Scandinavian countries like Norway and all, very few deserts, very few lakes. Those all are very few, but India has large. So in ecological diversity, you are comparing India is more ecologically diverse than that of other parts of the world. Species you are comparing Western and Eastern in India only. Ecologically you are comparing India with other parts of the world. Then next, genetic diversity. Genetic diversity, normally a medicinal plant called as Rowolfia. Famous example that was given, a medicinal plant Rowolfia vomitoria. So it is a famous medicinal plant. It requires a special chemical that is called as respirin. Respirin. Respirin, a special chemical is present that is related to Rauwolfia vomitaria medicinal plant. So what is happening here? Respirin, a special chemical is present, and it may vary in terms of potency as well as its different properties. It may vary. Why all this is happening? Due to genetic variations that is usually taking place. Genetic variations are induced in this plant. So multiple times it will vary. New species will be formed. Here biodiversity means what? New species are usually formed. So here by genetic variations, new species are formed. Here ecologically new species are formed. There specifically species diversity is seen. Like in Western Ghats, they are more diverse than that of Eastern Ghats. So basically you are comparing here different types. So a special chemical called as respirin is associated with that of genetic diversity. So this is about the main introduction regarding biodiversity. Again in genetic diversity you can give an example called as how many species of rice are present. Usually 50,000 species of rice you see in all over India. Suppose if you go to Andhra Pradesh or if you go to some Kerala, only one type or two, three different types. One is basmati rice, one is normal cooked rice, brown rice. You see only 3 to 4 varieties. But all over India, there are 50,000 species of rice. Are you all able to believe that there are 50,000 varieties of rices that are present? So they are multiple. Again here now we are coming to say that mangoes also. You see only 2 or 3 varieties wherever you go, you see only 2 to 3 varieties of mango. No, but India is a good producer for mangoes as well as rice. So 1,000 varieties of mango you see. 50,000 varieties of rice and 1,000 varieties of mangoes. This is the important neat question that you should remember. So this is about the main introduction that is related to that of biodiversity. And again we have discussed that totally about 1 million species. Totally about 1 million species are usually plant and animal species in the world are 1 million. But a famous scientist I called as Robert Mee. He specified that total animal and plant species may vary till 7 millions. 7 millions are present in this world. 7 million different types of species are present in the world for plant and animals. So that is the important question that you should remember. Then later, are plants more in number or animals more in number? Mostly animals are more. 70% of the total species, 70% are animals. Don't get confused, animals are more in number. Only 22% is plants. 70% is animals, only 22% is plants. That thing you should remember. Then later, in animals also, there are again multiple types like vertebrates as well as invertebrates. In vertebrates, which are more common? You see, vertebrates means only fishes, reptiles, amphibians, birds, and mammals. In all of these, are you thinking which one are more in number? So variety fishes are more in number than that of amphibians, reptiles, including of mammals also. Mammals are not more in number. The fishes are more in number. Fishes are multiple species which are present. So in animals, it is usually vertebrates and invertebrates. So vertebrates, usually fishes are more in number. Invertebrates, invertebrates what are more in number? Like in invertebrates, the organisms which are called as, which do not have the skeleton, they are called as like vertebra. They are called as invertebrates. So here it is like fishes. Then mostly For the non-vertebrates, it is like invertebrates, it is nothing but mollusks. Mollusks, insects, all will be present. In these all, insects are more in number in invertebrates, which do not have the vertebrae are called as invertebrates. So basically, fishes are more in number than invertebrates are less in number. And when you compare to 22% of plants, in plants also you see fungi, algae, these all organisms. So mostly fungi are more in number than that of numerous plants. So this is the important question that you should remember. So normally, according to IUCN classification, there are only 1 million species. But Robert May specified that there are 7 million species. And in that 70% are animals, 22% only are plants. In 70% of animals, some are vertebrates, some are invertebrates. Vertebrates, fishes are more in number. In invertebrates, these all are coming under animals only, right? So under invertebrates, insects are more in number. And in plants also, and in 22% of plants, fungi are more in number than that of other algae and smaller plants. So this is about the main introduction that is related to biodiversity. So now we will see totally how much land area is it occupying. Our India is occupying about 2.4% of total land area it's occupying. And in this 2.4% of land area, majority is 8.1% is contributed by India only. See, don't get so much confused. Maximum land area, how much? Suppose this is the total world map. World. In the world, only 2.4%, only this much is occupied by India. But the species means everywhere in the world different species will be there. So here in India, how many species in the total world it is occupying is 8.1%. Land area is 2.4%. How much rate of species is 8.1%. So this is about the how much area is it occupying, as well as what is the how much are they occupying, how much species are occupying. Next, totally in India till now we have read in the world how many plant and animal species are there. How many are there? There are 7 millions. And in here now in India, when we are talking about 45,000 species are plants, double that of plants are animals, means 90,000 are animals. This I'm talking about India, 45,000 species of plants, 90,000 species of animals, only they are present in India. This full I'm talking only about India, you all should concentrate. Means 1 lakh species of plants means 3 lakh species of animals. Everything it is double that of animals are present. So that you should remember. So India is occupying 2.4% of land area. How much species distribution it is occupying is 8.1%. And in that 45,000 species are plants, 90,000 species are animals. So that point you should remember. So this is about the main biodiversity and its conservation when it is related to that of India. So this is about the major contribution to in India. How many plant species and how many animal species are present. Next, we will see about the patterns of biodiversity. So now we will see about the patterns of biodiversity. So now in the patterns of biodiversity, what you are trying to understand here in the patterns of biodiversity. Usually there are two components called as latitudinal gradients, as well as species area relationship. In these latitudinal gradients, basically, in latitudinal gradients, what we are talking about, suppose from equator towards the poles, from the center equator towards the poles, usually the species will decrease in number. Means near the, suppose if you take a India map, in India what is the middle, what is present in the middle, like in the tropical areas, what is present, like Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, these all are present. Here you see more species there, more species diversity is more. Numerous species you will see, camels, desert animals, numerous you will see. But when you are going towards the poles, means when you are going towards Jammu and Kashmir, or when you are going towards Kerala, only few you see. In Kerala, waters and all, small fishes and all you see. And in the polar, like Jammu and Kashmir areas, only small animals you see, like polar bears and all. So here in the latitudinal gradients, patterns of biodiversity means what exact meaning is, like you're seeing where are species more in number. Patterns of biodiversity means where you see more amount of species in one area, you see it will vary from one area to another area. Always diversity is not constant, species diversity is not constant. It may vary from place to place, from area to area it will vary. So mostly near the equator, the species diversity is more near the equator than that towards the poles. Species diversity more near the equator basically. So the important point that you should remember here is, and the species diversity usually decreases from equator towards the poles. It will usually decrease in number, not increase. So this is about the latitudinal gradients. Suppose in Amazon rainforest also, normally in North America and all you see only some animals, but in Amazon rainforest where it is located near the equator, it is called as lungs of the planet. Which is called as lungs of the planet is called as Amazon rainforest, because it will occupy so much amount of area there. So much amount of area is occupied by Amazon rainforest in this total world. It is occupying almost 14 hectares of the land, means maximum forest, maximum plants, maximum animals you see in the Amazon rainforest only. It is the biggest rainforest in the world basically. So that's why they're called as lungs of the planet, and it will extend million hectares of land is it will extend. So the Amazon rainforest also, it will host 378 invertebrates, like that numerous species of invertebrates. That all is not important in neat point of view. Only one thing, which are called as lungs of the planet, means Amazon rainforest, and from the equator towards the poles, always the species will decrease in number. That is the important point. Why? What is the difference between the temperate and tropical regions? Why it will vary means, suppose in tropical areas. See, tropical means they are near the equator. Temperate areas means they are near the poles. I want you to get accustomed to the terms which we are using. Tropical means like Rajasthan near the equator which we are present. Temperate means towards the poles. That is the important point. Why there are usually differences between the tropical and temperate? What are the now advantages? Why more species are present in the tropical areas than the temperate areas? Why they are present means, the important point that you should remember is, tropical will be less seasonal, less seasonal means seasonal variations won't be more. Suppose in temperate regions, so many seasonal variations you see. So in tropical, less seasonal. As well as where do you find more amount of sunlight, where you see more amount of sunlight is usually seen near the tropical areas. Means that's why Rajasthan and all are very hot near the equator. There, there. That's why so much amount of sunlight is touching them. But in temperate regions like Jammu and Kashmir or Kerala, so much amount of sunlight you don't see. So less sunlight. Here more sunlight, less sunlight. Seasonal as well as and frequent glaciations in the past. Frequent glaciations did not take place. Here glaciations will take place. What is glaciations? So many you see polar ice caps and all, like this polar ice caps will be there. You saw in Titanic movie, right? So much ice caps will be there and they are broken down into small pieces. Where mostly they are broken down in these temperate regions only, mostly they are broken down. In near the equator they are not broken down. Near the temperate areas they are broken down into small pieces. That's why here frequent glaciations will happen. Here no frequent glaciations. When there are no frequent glaciations, what is happening is so much amount of sunlight is touching there. So much amount of sunlight is coming and staying in the tropical areas. So that's why there is no problem that is associated with that. This are two important point that you should remember here in that of tropical and temperate regions is, suppose two, mainly three differences you should remember. Tropical areas, they are very less seasonal, then so much amount of sunlight and no frequent glaciations in the past. Everything opposite is temperate regions. One, if you remember, it is enough. So for the tropical areas, only sunlight is more, rest all are less, like that you remember. Sunlight is more, that's why species are more. No seasonal variations are taking place, no frequent glaciations in the past. So that's why so many, why now all we are telling about temperate and these regions is so many amount of species, why they are found is these are the positive reasons which were given by the scientists. Why so many, what are the factors which are affecting that of tropical and temperate areas is more amount of sunlight, less seasonal and frequent glaciations in the past. So this is about that. So mainly the patterns of biodiversity, about the latitudinal gradations, only 4 points you should remember. One is from the equator towards the poles, usually they decrease in number. The species decrease in number. Another important point is tropical areas are less seasonal, as well as sunlight, as well as they are subjected to frequent glaciations in the past. Another important point that you should remember here is basically the Amazon rainforest, which is situated in the southern America. So they are called as lungs of the planet. Why they are called as lungs of the planet is so many species as well as so much of species diversity you see in this forest. So that's why they are called. So one topic of patterns of biodiversity in that latitudinal gradient is done. Next we are going to species area relationship and how is it varying. So basically we see another important thing in the patterns of biodiversity that is called as species area relationship. So basically in the species area relationship, on the x-axis you draw area and on the y-axis it is species. So usually it is a rectangular hyperbola. So log s equal to log c plus z log a. So in the species area relationship, as species increase in number, so as area increase in number, species also will increase more in number, but only up to a specific limit. That is the important thing that you should remember. As species will increase, as area will increase in number, species diversity also will increase. That is only species area relationship. So it is usually a rectangular hyperbola. Log s equal to log c plus z log a. And here s equal to caz. So usually, but they will extend only up to a limit. After a limit, they will usually stop. The species diversity will stop, though even area will get increased. So this is about the species area relationship. By which scientist was this species area relationship given? Is Alexander von Humboldt. So, by Alexander von Humboldt, the species area relationship was given and it was a rectangular hyperbola log s equal to log c plus z log a. Alexander von Humboldt have given the species area relationship. And now the another important thing that you should remember is in species area relationship, what is this S and all? S is species richness, A is area, C is slope, Z is slope of the line, C is Y intercept. Log S equal to log C plus Z log A. S is species richness, C is Y intercept, Z is slope of the line, A is area. So log S equal to log C plus Z log A. So this full species area relationship was given by Alexander von Humboldt. So now in the patterns of biodiversity, two important things we have discussed. That is nothing but latitudinal gradients as well as species area relationship. So in the latitudinal gradients we have done species area relationship. If area increases, species also will increase in number, but only up to an extent, and it is called as rectangular hyperbola. And log s equal to log c, important neat question which is multiple times asked. Log s equal to log c plus z log a. S is usually the species richness, the c is y intercept, z is slope of the line, a is area, and this full species area relationship was given by Alexander von Humboldt. So this is the famous scientist. Till now, two scientists. One is Robert May, Alexander von Humboldt. Alexander von Humboldt have described the species area relationship. So this is about that. And then next, another important point that you should remember here is usually what are the over exploitations which are caused by humans. So there are four things that humans do due to loss of biodiversity. They are contributing the four factors. So in the next class we will describe about all the four things, but the main four things is over exploitation, alien species invasion, habitat loss and fragmentation, co-extinction. These are the four things. These are the four main things which are caused for the loss of biodiversity. So in this, we are going to discuss about each and everything in the next class in detail, because it is very important in each point of view and numerous examples are also present. So these four things we will discuss, if they are associated with what are the losses of biodiversity, what are the examples given, and everything in the next class we are going to discuss. Okay.